Welcome to part 2 of my interview with Brandon Carrera. In case you missed part 1, feel free to click the link to the first video right here. Although, if you've seen the first part and are content to proceed, welcome folks, and let's go ahead and enjoy what's in store with today's video. It's a doozy, as they say. Also, virtually all footage was recorded and usable this time. There were some audio issues with the raw recordings for this meeting, which I've worked my best to fix, mostly by adjusting the sound rather than adding subtitles or anything. Anyway, as this whole second part is a reshoot and expansion on our last video, to kick this one off, Brandon and we yelled reshoot to jumpstart this video. So let's do it, and here we go. Reshoot. I'll just say a small comment before we get going with today's one. With Tom Wanzi, his accent, like the way he said Pete, I couldn't quite hear it or understand it. Like when I was very young, I thought he was just saying P, just the letter P. And like his friend was just called P.
Believe me, Pete, you got that right, Pete.
Hey, Mark. It's Pete.
I'm not afraid of going to the loony bin, Pete. Things got pretty scary today, Pete. You've got that right, Pete. Peter.
And I thought, is that like a handle or what's the thing? But no. It's like, well, Pete.
Well, Pete.
Yeah, I'd have to watch it again, man. I mean, I'm sure it was interesting having this interview and talking about all these different episodes. And just some of it's like seeing hearing your perspective on it has really made me like, I went back now because it's all been uploaded to YouTube now. We're just like really spending some time and having like some real nostalgic moments and having a really good laugh. Like it was like a completely different way of understanding and reading the show now, and actually having a lot of fun while I was watching it. You know, kind of feeling a little kid again. Yeah, it was great. It was great, but it wouldn't be for if it wasn't for this interview, I probably wouldn't have thought about some of the things this way or gone back and watched it. It's kind of cool.
But no, really cool. Thank you. It's one of those because it broke new ground in so many ways, like with the combining live action actors and CGI characters together. And, you know, I don't know if it always gets like credit for that. There is a web page that I'll give you the link to, and, you know, some of it's like sourced from Wikipedia, which you can obviously write anything you like on Wikipedia. So I don't know, but like I think if the reference list is perfectly legit, which this stuff is, then it's like where it did do all those things and people do it all the time now, but I don't know if it always gets like the proper credit, like, oh yeah, this show was a thing. Because I think there are lots of people who I think still know about Ace Lightning and remember it fondly, not necessarily from the United States, say, because I know that the show was in syndication in the US, according to Rick, and it did okay. He was saying it didn't do as well as it could have done, and I think it's just like competition from like Disney Channel and Nickelodeon just eating up all the viewers. This is a quote from him, and it's like, yeah, that's still a problem now.
But even, I mean, at that time that Ace Lightning had come out, there was a real era and push of these Nickelodeon shows and Disney shows and stuff. It was like it was almost like overload, you know, like so little commercial and just so many different program. You know, in that time it was like they were so specific to kind of like what kids were watching, what that age group was watching. So yeah, it definitely, I think that was a big reason why I didn't do as well in North America. But I find like a lot of my fan mail would come from places like the UK or Malaysia even, you know, which was, to me, I think way cooler than getting fan mail from the US. I don't know. There's just something, you know, that like, you know, my voice was being dubbed somewhere in some other places, you know, some other world, and it was being appreciated by kids in Malaysia. Was just kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I was telling you about the Russian dub of the show, which I might, you know, send you a clip of that. I just saw it just for like comparison of what the footage looked like. And sometimes, like with season 1, it was the Russian dub anyway. It was in 4:3, which is that Hong Kong DVD I showed you last time is also 4:3. But then the newer uploads are like from Rick's own personal collection, so it's like widescreen. It's like, oh, I've never seen it like this before. You know.
I was just saying because I've been watching all the uploads, and it feels like better quality than when I was watching it on my little TV when I was. Yeah, just another reason I appreciated it that much more watching it now. So they're in 4:3.
Well, the Hong Kong DVD that I was able to find, those are all in 4:3, but then like the 7-episode DVD from the UK, that's like widescreen for the first 7 episodes anyway. And then like from Rick's tapes from his own library are all mostly like, widescreen, maybe slightly narrower. I'd need to confer with Joseph Marshall on this. Like, what's this size? Like, what is this called? Because it's like a unique like preservation of it. And I used to wonder when I was a kid. I thought, well, the BBC will have the archives. In the archives, they'll have the episodes. I thought maybe if I just phone them, I'd be like, have you still got this show? Oh, you do. Oh, great. Could you release it, please? I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Like Joseph made some. It was on Twitter. Some like personal DVD box sets for Rick Siegel-Co, but also Matt Fichtner, not just with Ace, but with Noddy, the American version that they worked on together, and Thomas the Tank as well. But like the one that was, because both of those shows are from the UK originally, but they were like brought over, for the international market. And I think all the tapes still existed, but not on DVD. And he's like, well, I've got access to these and can transfer that, keep it alive.
I mean, yeah, that was another really, really kind of touching piece of all this that, I didn't realize Rick actually has all of this being preserved. Matt Fichtner still has a lot of, a lot of the items from Ace Line. It just goes to show, like, it doesn't matter how much time has passed. It didn't matter how successful it might have been in the market or not. That is people who actually truly, really, cared about what they were doing. It wasn't just about, we're going to try to make as much money as we can and throw it out there, and whether it was successful or not. And then just like, 20 years later, oh yeah, that show. And like, some producers are, it is what it is. It's just, oh yeah, I did that thing 30, 40, 50 years ago, 20 years ago. But I mean, that's what makes all these memories I have of Ace Lightning Lounge more special, is knowing that I was surrounded by people who really, truly cared about the art form, or cared about this show that was cutting edge and was, something that was never done before, and the passion that goes behind it to have all these tapes and everything in its original format, and then be uploading it and still, agreeing to talk with people, and fans such as yourself, because they're, it's just super cool, man. It's really nice. It's really nice to know that they're out there and they're that passionate about Ace Lightning.
No, that's really kind of you to say, Brandon. And I want to say that it's great when I contacted Matt Fichtner last year, that it's wonderful when you as a fan have this passion for something, and the people that created it, even as we say, like 20 years on, are still just as passionate for it. And it's like, this is the best thing ever. Like I'm not and they it just as much as I did, because with a show like this, it's not surprising though that it's like that, because just the design of everything and just the effort and like the vision for the whole thing, it's like, how could you not love this?
Yeah, it's so true, man.
So today, Brandon, I'm using what I'm going to call the poor man's teleprompter, which isn't a joke I came up with.
The poor man's teleprompter.
But it just means I just have some notes right here on a piece of paper.
Hey, it works, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dear. Because, last time I had a separate laptop that I was hoping to do the actual recording on, but that kind of fell through. I'm like, well, I have another way, so I'll just keep that in my corner. So even though, because what we recorded last time was just us kind of wrapping up the whole thing and, saying our goodbyes, we'll still do that, of course. But so I have a bonus question, but we'll come to that. So when I thought about us like saying goodbye for this segment, there's a bit in Ace Lightning. It's episode 2, actually, with the Carney.
Hey, Slick, want to win a prize for your girlfriend?
Who's actually Lady Illusion in disguise. It was when do you remember when you won the bunnies, you and Shadia? It's that Carney, that guy,
right.
And I'm not sure who that actor is. I've tried to find some of these, who I was calling national treasures, because they're just really funny. Some of them do have speaking parts, but they're mostly just there for a few minutes and then they're out. So yeah, but she says, he, in Lady Illusion's voice, it was dubbed over later. She's like, better say your goodbyes before it's too late. Ha 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 ha.
Better say your goodbyes before it's too late.
But I just thought, yeah, that's freaky.
I actually really enjoyed that episode. So a lot of these episodes that we shot at the carnival set, they were actually set up like carnival. Like we actually had, we had some of the some of the rides there. So and a lot of the stuff was actually shot at night. You know, we had a lot of late night shoots. Being a kid, all the lights are lit up. We got all our extras around. Cameras are rolling. It was like, takes being at a carnival to the next level. Like we were actually there having fun. You know, didn't really feel like we were working or like we were acting. And I actually remember that scene pretty well. Actually, I remember working with Shadia, and it was actually, I remember we were actually talking with each other. And I don't remember how the conversation come up, but like in between scenes. And I remember actually acknowledging, like, both of us, we were talking about, being actors. And anyways, it was the first time we had actually acknowledged each other as like good actors. And we were actually like, yeah, like you're actually a lot of fun to read on, because like I can actually play off of you, and you're actually, very natural. And I remember she said the same thing, but it was a cool little moment that we shared off screen. But no, that episode in particular was a lot of fun. We were actually on some of the rides. We were actually playing some of the carnival games and stuff. So I actually do remember that one pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that thing with the hammer where you ring the bell you were talking about, I think that was the test your strength machine, that Anvil obviously morphed into, or, he came out of in the show. So yeah, basically all these items are haunted.
yeah
By the video game.
Yeah, and almost felt it had a creepy vibe there at night when like all the lights would go off, and if you're standing in like a dark corner by yourself, it felt a little haunted too. And we had a lot of fun on set, man. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think for season 2 they changed some of the rides, or they added to it. It's interesting because I'll need to like rewatch the footage and like compare like the size of the set, the outdoor set, because I know that with the second season they filmed in a different location because you all went to high school, and then the carnival was behind the the school in the field. And yeah, they added the Ferris wheel for season 2, and then there was like the mini golf course as well. And I think other than that, it's the same, but it feels completely different because like the ground looked different. I think it was all like stone, or it wasn't like a grassy field like the first season.
No, you're right, actually. And I remember, so it was everything was at the back of like, it was either off season. A lot of the renting from the school, like we'd actually taken over like an entire school, and the grounds, they were like schools that we're going to use. The ground in the second season was gravel, and it was a completely different school ground altogether. There was a soccer field out back that we used for all the soccer scenes when we were playing soccer and stuff like that. But you're right, it was all gravel, and the set had changed quite a bit too, right? Seeing it grow into something kind of bigger, and it was, I don't know, cooler. It was kind of neat too, right? Coming back after that first season and going into the second season. Yeah, it was cool to see them design something a little different.
Yeah, I think the production designer Rupert Lazarus was, the same from season 1 going into season 2. But yeah, all those rides were rented. And I was going to say that I thought, were some of them taken away? But no, I think it's the same like collection of rides, but they added the Ferris wheel and the mini golf to accommodate the new characters, new villains in the show. And I wondered actually with the soccer field, since you mentioned that, I thought, was this, did they film the carnival stuff there, in the same field as where they played soccer? They just took things down, but no, they were two separate places. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was just where it was positioned in the school grounds. So there was just like a big wall that you guys wouldn't see, like depending how, where how it was shot, facing the other direction. And behind that wall was the set, and was the carnival. But everything was on the same. Everything was built on the same school grounds out in the field and the gravel. Which is magic of TV, right? Everything in the same sort of place.
Yeah, no, it's great though that it was able to feel like these different places, and I think if you try and look in the background, you can kind of see where other things are, or like school, the carnival, and then maybe even Mark's house. I think you can kind of see the school in the background, like just next to that, kind of. Anyway, I thought, could that be? But it could well be, since now I know how it was done.
Yeah, even Mark's house was built in the gymnasium. It was a set built in the gymnasium of the school. So they basically turned a lot of different areas in the school, like the gymnasium, into like a big soundstage, big set, and they built it right in there, which is also really strange, like your first time being on set, and having a house built inside of a school, and you're kind of like, I could actually do it. I could live here. This is kind of cool.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You had everything there. It's just that's.
I'm shocked that was a set, because you see the exterior, and I think assume it was the interior. Like you see him looking out his window sometimes, but it's like, yeah, the magic of TV.
All sets, all lighting. We had really good director of photography, good lighting,
Mhm.
good sound guys. I mean, really top notch, man. You wouldn't have been able to tell, but everything was, yeah, it was all shot in a set. I mean, when he's looking out the window, which is kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah.
they did have a house that they used as the exterior footage and some of the stuff you would see, from outdoors. Yeah, that was an actual house that you rent. But no, other than that, everything else was indoors. It was a set.
Yeah, I was looking up on IMDb actually, and I could see that some of the CGI artists, I think they carried on, and I think they're still hard at work now. I saw that some of them are actually working on Marvel movies now, or they have been for the CG, like the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton, and then like Black Panther is another one, and there might be, I'd have to check, but there's a lot of like other credits that they have. I think all based in Toronto, and they were working for like one like visual effects house or whatever to do the Ace Lightning stuff, and then yeah, it's amazing. It's again that stepping stone of like how stuff gets made now.
Fun fact about the Incredible Hulk, and no, you're right. It's also kind of cool to know. So there's so many different aspects to putting together, a TV show or a movie or whatever it is, and so many different production houses, companies come together. And so I actually worked on the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, and a lot of people don't know this, but it was so a friend of mine who was a stunt coordinator at the time. He had actually invited me. Said we need a bunch of special skilled extras, background actors, but special skills, which is like a little different than just being a regular extra. Someone who knows how to handle firearms, kind of, basically they needed a bunch of military guys to be dressed the part, look the part, and doing some special skilled stuff in the background. And so I got to work on that for 3 days, and it was the scene where the Hulk comes out rushing into like a big grassy field. I don't know if you remember, and he's knocking the truck to the side. All the military guys are running through the field. And,
it's the part, Brandon. It's in the movie. Sorry. Yeah, he's like cornered by the army, like upstairs at like glass tunnel, and I think they try and gas him, and that's what makes him Hulk out, and then he breaks out, and then goes into that scene that you're talking about. Yes, I remember.
Correct.
Yeah,
exactly.
They animated that bit for the What If series on Disney Plus, so that bit is like redone. But anyway, sorry.
No, so I didn't realize, to know that I was also a part of this, and some of the same animators who were part of this, like we're also on that is just really, really cool synchronicity to kind of know that, and it just, goes to show that sometimes you can be a part of something and have all these people you'd already worked with and not even know about it. It's kind of funny to me. But yeah, I actually had the opportunity to work on that for 3 days, and that was really exciting. That was actually probably one of the first introductions into like doing actual special skilled stunt work on a large film. Was the Incredible Hulk. A lot of fun, actually. And you can actually see there's like this one background actor running through the field after one of the trucks get knocked, and he just takes this complete face plant. It wasn't actually planned. You see him take a face plant, kind of roll, and then he gets up and he starts running again. That would be me. It was like I tripped over these big boots that I was wearing, and I just like took this face plant and then got up and kept running. It was really funny, actually.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Did you ever get to see, even from afar, did you ever get to see William Hurt on set? Because I think he's there like briefly in that scene, but yeah, you got to see
all of them. They were all on set. There was a few things that were shot in that field, either in the background or different locations, and I got to meet all the actors on the same day, which was really cool. Yeah.
No, that's wonderful. Especially now because William Hurt's another one who. I think Kevin Feige at Marvel Studios had like ambitions for him, or at least the character that he played, that hopefully they'll do with their shows or their movies. But yeah, Mr. Hurt is no longer with us, sadly. It's a shame, because I think he was last in Black Widow with Scarlett Johansson. It was nice to see him again, because I don't know if he filmed that before he passed or if he passed just after that movie came out. But such a shame.
Yeah, lost a lot of great actors around that time too. But yeah, there's a few films I've had the opportunity to work on, and they were some of their last pieces of work, and I was actually had the opportunity to meet them before they actually passed away, which is also something I'm really appreciative for. And it wasn't just Mr. Hurt, but so Avenging Angelo was the first feature film I got to work on, and a little different, like more romance comedy, a bit of action. For Sylvester Stallone, it's very different. But Anthony Quinn was in that. Absolute legend. And again, that was another film where I got to meet an actor who was, someone of his status. And then yeah, that was the last film he worked on. He actually passed away after on that film. Yeah, I've had a few moments like that in life. Yeah, it's just super appreciative for it.
I think with The Incredible Hulk, because that movie came out in 2008, the same year as Iron Man. But yeah, I think filmed in 2007, came out in 2008. So yeah, that's not too long after Ace Lightning would have finished also. So it's sort of like 2004, I think, or it was shown in the UK in 2005, I think, or season 2 like ended that year. So yeah, it's like not long after Ace, and you reunite with some of the people. Like, oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
William Hurt has a funny little scene at the end of the Hulk movie with Robert Downey Jr. Like that was good. Just where he's like smoking the cigar and he's just they're just talking, but it's fun. Like, you should talk. You should listen.
You should talk. You should listen.
So, Brandon, do you remember, it was season 2, do you remember the episode, it was set at the Friendship Farm, which is not a real place, I'm sure.
Friendship Farm.
Or they, like, maybe repurpose something that existed already. But it was the one with the quad bikes. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. Man, that was a ton of fun. We spent the entire day on ATVs. I'm no stranger to being on ATVs and motorcycles. I started riding motorcycles when I was 10 years old. There's these Yamaha had made a motorcycle called a YSR. They developed them in like 50cc bikes. They're not, we would call them pocket bikes, but they're not, pocket bikes today. Like they're really small little ones that just look like little toys. This is a legitimate, had its own class of racing. Yeah, so Yamaha YSR had a 50cc, and a family friend had actually taught me how to ride. And ever since then, I'd always been hooked on, 2 wheels, going fast, being a bit of an adrenaline junkie. So the day that we actually got to ride these ATVs, I was totally in my comfort zone. Love it. I remember that episode very well. Had a ton of fun. We had like all these cool ATVs in different colors, and I remember the one that wasn't an automatic was the one I wanted to ride, the 5-speed ATV. And it was shot at a ranch. It was shot up at a farm in rural Northern Ontario. Yeah, but something actually kind of cool. I still have the helmet I wore in that scene, actually.
Oh,
yeah, I actually brought it here for you too. I'll show you. I had to dig this out.
Oh wow, yeah.
Obviously, doesn't fit me anymore.
No,
but I actually still I had all the helmets. I had mine and I had the one that Tom Wanzi wore as well. I think his was red.
Yeah, I remember that. I think Ashley Leggett, I think hers was like blue or purple
or
something. Maybe something like that. And I got her name wrong. Her name is Petra Wild Goose, which is like the coolest name ever.
Yeah,
That is cool. But yeah, and I remember the colors for that. And yeah, Petra's not acting anymore. She's a doctor now.
Really? I had no idea. No way.
Yeah, I only know how to pronounce her name because there's a video I'd seen where she talks to camera, explaining what her medical practice is. And I don't know when she went into that, but yeah, she sort of stopped the acting thing. And I thought, I wonder if I could contact her, not as a patient, but like, you remember when you used to act, can I ask a question?
Just show up with like an injured arm somewhere or wherever she's practicing.
I don't know.
While I'm here, mind if I ask you?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that, man. I mean, it's not uncommon though. As I was talking about earlier on in the interview. I mean, not everybody stayed in acting. Some of us used it, as a way to kind of, pay for an education to do what we, something else or to, do something completely different altogether. I know some of us are still acting and in film. Some of us aren't. But the beauty about film is it'll last forever, right? Those DVDs and film and YouTube and the internet.
It's true.
Yeah. I've had friends, in medical shows and working with consultants who are actual doctors, and that's where they've actually found their interest. And they have gone to medical school after. And I don't know what brought Hitra to get into medicine, but yeah, other people. I mean, some people, they start in front of the camera and they end up realizing, hey, they'd actually rather be a director, they'd rather be behind or a cameraman. But absolutely, it's also very different transitioning, like we said earlier, from from a child actor into an adult.
Hey folks, just to give context to this next bit, Brandon and I spoke off camera about the Ace Lightning video games that were made, specifically the PC and PlayStation 2 games that were made. More of this for when I get round to reviewing the merch for Ace Lightning in a separate review video. But we talked about the Let's Play videos and walkthroughs for the game that occasionally crop up, and some of the differing opinions people like to share about the games and their experiences playing them. But we're about to focus on that next for a minute. I found copies I collected of the Ace Lightning Game Boy Advance version to show Brandon also, just to explain why we suddenly jumped to that topic and focus on it for a bit, to avoid the what thought process you may otherwise have. Okay then, transition.
Oh, look at that. Love it.
Yeah, I have, because it's like the artwork, it's basically the same, like the back cover and the front is the same as the like the PlayStation 2 and the PC game. It's a little bit like caved in on itself, you see a little bit. But yeah, this one's difficult to find, at least in good condition, because you can get like cartridges, like copies of the game, but yeah, this one's kind of beaten up a bit.
Mm-hmm. That's the one you've played then?
No, so I played the PC, the PC and the PlayStation 2 game, but look, it's a little cartridge.
Oh yeah, there you go. Huh. I love it.
It's baby sized.
Yeah. I did hear that people were not very happy with it. I never had the opportunity to try it. I still think I might.
Yeah. Well, it is a shame. I'll tell you. Sorry, I'll just put this up here. No, it's a shame people felt that way about it, because if you put effort into producing something, it's like, oh, people didn't like it. Oh, no, well.
Yeah. I know it's.
Yeah, I wanted to say before I forget, with the Ace Lightning fandom, I know that when you said you had fan mail from Malaysia, it does kind of make sense in a way, because in Indonesia, that's where they had some like individual DVDs that were just in like little cardboard sleeves for season 1. Season 2 never got any like home media release, and I don't know if that's like a popularity issue, like as a whole, like overseas, but also like a revenue from merchandise or something. Yeah, we'll talk about like people's opinions of the video game, but yeah, with the PlayStation 2 game and then the PC game, I think they're identical. Like it's the exact same gameplay, like same levels and stuff like that. But I think the only difference is the font. The PC game, it's like kind of nondescript, insert your coin style text or something. I'm like, I liked it better before.
I liked you better before.
Were there any, talking about the Friendship Farm and the ATVs, was there any ATV riding scenes in the video game?
No, it was more just sort of based on the carnival itself. Like you start off in the carnival and you go like to different levels. So I think I wish there were more levels to the game, and I wonder if the game was like made partly as a tie-in for season 2, because there's like animation from season 2 that looks an awful lot like the game that they were selling in real life. So I thought, was that like a co-advertisement or something?
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'll work my way around and like ask that question, like, what about this? What about that? Sometimes it's fun to ask, so as I know for sure, but then other times I think you just kind of assume that, because I think the reason that Ace Lightning, I always read that the reason it was cancelled was because of a lack of revenue from the merchandise, like as a whole. And I think that's probably kind of true. Although Rick Siggelko was telling the story about how it was specifically because of the video game that the show was stopped. I know.
Really?
Yeah, I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link to his interview, so you can hear about that and some of his other projects he's worked on TV. But because Ace Lightning, the TV show, was based on a fictitious video game, the BBC decided to do a real video game, which of course makes sense commercially, And Rick was saying, for anyone who doesn't know, video games are expensive to produce, because of the cost of making the game, they very much leveraged the economics of the show. Because they spent a lot making the game, it made it quite difficult, or very difficult, for them to recoup their money. And so they said we're sorry, we can't sustain the production anymore. So it was, a fictitious video game appeared in a TV show, and then a real video game was made based on a show. It's a weird it's a weird story, but it was based on a game that never existed in the first place, and it brought down the show.
And that brings down the show. Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of a funny story. It should have left the game fictitious. Left it be mentioned.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they made a real game, because I did like the game a lot when I was a child, which was like an early teens is when I discovered that game, which was cool because I was the target demo for that target demographic. But yeah, do you remember what you saw on YouTube when people were complaining about the game?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it was mostly about some of them it was about the graphics themselves, but I mean, at that time, they were all. I mean, that was the era, that was the time. That's what, to me, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But just not being able to do enough. Mostly about not having enough levels to the game, not enough to do almost. Just kind of being at that carnival and having very basic commands.
Yeah. I definitely I kind of felt like that too, but at the same time I was so overjoyed that this thing actually existed that it didn't matter. So the Friendship Farm episode, was it in rural northern Ontario? Like, it wasn't near Toronto?
No, it was actually a couple hours north of Toronto. And
oh wow.
Yeah, they had someone actually trailer out a bunch of ATVs out there, and got to choose which one we were riding. The first part of the day was actually spent with the coordinators and just making sure everyone was comfortable on the bikes and how to ride. So we spent 30 or 40 minutes just ripping around in circles around this farm. It was a lot of fun.
Because in the episode, I think the three of you, you, Petra, and Ashley, I think you just ride by the camera briefly, and that was what was in the script for the episode. But then obviously Tom and Ashley, due to crazy hijinks from the bad guys, hers is out of control and they're going along the field. Some great stunts, but I was thinking that because you, Brandon, because you didn't do that, your character didn't in the episode, I thought to myself, I'll bet there was a lot of fun joy rides when the cameras stopped rolling.
Yeah, any chance we got, they allowed us to kind of go off, and it was a ton of fun. I was, like I said, was right in my comfort zone.
Yeah,
ATV, motorcycles, anything fast, giving the adrenaline rush even at that age. That's what I was for. I
was going to ask if that sparked the adrenaline junkie thing that you have, that love that you have, but no, you were riding a motorbike at 10, or you were on a vehicle like that at that age, and awesome.
Yeah, I didn't think of anything of it then, but kind of growing up and picking up all these skills, whether it was martial arts, whether it was riding a motorcycle, would later lead to these opportunities to do these stunts. Really,
it's certainly different than in the UK. I think you've got to be the earliest, I think, could be 16, I think, to get a moped or something, or 17, 18 to get your driver's license, and to do that then, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it was always on closed tracks. It's the same thing. You can't get a license until you're 16 here, but me being a little bit of a rebel, I remember I would actually bring a motorcycle home, and I lived on a very quiet street, and where I learned first to ride this on my schoolyard's track, because it's a sport bike, and our family friend would come over and he would walk the bike to the schoolyard track, which was just a couple blocks over, and he taught me how to lean the bike down, how to control it, how to pop a wheelie and stuff. And I would just be ripping around the schoolyard track, which is where I actually went to school as a kid. So it was really cool, really fun. But I would also, when cars around, I would take the opportunity and I would actually ride it back home. So when you think about it, I'm this 10, 11-year-old, he riding this motorcycle down the street, illegally, and then I park in front of my house. All the neighbors would be put this on here. It was kind of funny. But yeah, there are different times. Sure. Can't really do that these days.
No. It's we weren't supposed to do it back then, but there were less people watching, so
yeah, I think today, absolutely. I think today would definitely be frowned on, sure. Or I'd be asking my parents some questions as to why they're allowed to do that. But definitely very different times. I still ride motorcycles today. That's when I'm 16, and I still go to racetracks. Just as a hobby. The weather's good. They're out here. It's great. Being out in BC especially caters to that sort of stuff. It's cool. back trails to find it.
No, it was really cool seeing your helmet that you still kept from the show. Like, it's great it's still there, but even though, because you said it doesn't fit you now, and even though it fit you back then, was it really uncomfortable, or like could you see okay and all that stuff?
Oh no, the style has a very wide field of vision, so that you can see very well.
It's well preserved now as then. It looks exactly the same. It's great.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to kind of get some stuff from production, and the helmet was definitely the first thing I went to. But it hasn't been in years.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say when you say that normally you wear goggles, I don't know if you guys did in the episode anyway. I think it's just so that you can see, the person's face. Like how can we tell other than the color? It's like how do we know? Not that it's really them, but like who's who.
No, but we weren't doing anything at high speeds.
No. Yeah, I was going to say, because last time, we were talking about how most locations for the first season, at least, like weren't that far apart from one another. But I think when you say that one was, rural Northern Ontario, it kind of makes sense, because I wouldn't have immediately thought that, but because there's like lots of tall grass in the field and it's just like a completely different location, I thought, yeah, this could easily be way out way. So it's like there wasn't, much like I'm sure like the production people were just like, oh no, we don't have to try as hard to make this look like it's tucked away somewhere, because it really is away from the city,
all of it, even that section where there's like a hole in the outhouse or whatever it is, or that barn. I don't remember that well. It's something that's got fixed. Like that was all. So I don't think we have to.
I'm not allowed to leave my shame spiral until I fix this hole.
Yeah, I'd heard from Rupert Lazarus about how, talking of the gymnasium at the school, how I think the haunted house was also built in the gym, also the interior.
Yeah, the haunted house. There was also the IT room, the computer room where Mark Nardi, his character, that was also set in the gymnasium as well.
How about Rick's computer shack? Because I think the interior is like built similarly to the rest, but like the outside, because it just looked like a little store, and they'd changed the sign,
Honestly, I don't know. I know I'm sure it is like a lot like pizza shop and cafeteria, all that stuff. Like, yeah, it was all different inside the gymnasium. Was a cafeteria that was actually in the school. The outdoor stuff we would actually use, in storefronts that weren't in use. We just changed some. I still remember the pizza shop. It was actually right across the street from the school where we were actually filming. And then they just changed the sign. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it was a fake name, like local pizza shop. Yeah. I think Temptations Pizza or Pizza Temptations was the name, and I thought, oh, was that the name? Because I was reading that guidebook that I showed you last time. I'm like, oh no, that's kind of a cool detail. There's like all these little details in the thing.
Yeah, man. I mean, you've noticed that more than I have. That's for sure.
Oh no, I'll be honest.
That was the name of the pizza shop.
I'll be honest. I think I only noticed like in rereading the book. Like I was just looking at the photos, or I think I read, that's where the characters like to hang out, or that's where Chuck, Mark Minardi's character, really wanted to go, because good pizza.
There you go.
Pizza on your Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember, the pieces of the amulet, the prop that they had? I think there's one episode again where you and Shadia interact with the Carney, who also gave you the stuffed rabbits, and she wins a prize and she wins a piece of the amulet, and he's like, believe me, you don't want that, sweetheart, go get that, take something else.
Believe me, you don't want that prize, sweetheart. Take another one. Take anything else.
Because that's the MacGuffin of the show. It's like the bad guys want that. Yeah. I wonder, do you know if those little like amulet bits were made out of like wood or something? Because it looks like metallic foil for the outside, but I thought it's probably just like wood. I don't know.
They were just painted. They were painted to look all like they were painted to look like they were metallic. But yeah, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure they were just wood. I'd actually like to know who still has those. That'd be
I would too, actually. Yeah.
They got to be out there somewhere.
Yeah. A funny story, Brandon. I'll just get, I'll get one over here. I'm recording this next to my kitchen table, so I've got like the fruit bowl near here. But this might be weird, but I have an orange just here, and each time I peel the orange, I try and break it up into like little like pieces, like 6 or 7 pieces, whatever it was, and be like, it's the pieces of the amulet.
I love it. Keep the creativity
Yeah.
going. I love it.
It's-
Having some fun with your food.
Yeah, kind of. It's
Yeah.
something. It's like a kiddie thing that I've never grown out of, but
No,
yeah.
you gotta keep that too.
The funny thing is, I think in the first episode, the amulet, it splits into 7 pieces,
7.
which it splits into 7 pieces in season 2 as well.
When I got back from England, I had 7 pieces of the amulet.
But I think they only collect 6 pieces in season 1 anyway, because, you know, they go through the whole show and they get all that. I thought, did they get 7 or what happened? Because they would collect pieces and then use that to like bring other video game characters in. And I thought, is that a plot hole?
I don't know. A way to keep it open, maybe.
That'll be something that we'll do in the reboot. We'll get like a little indie production going, and
Let's do it.
yeah.
Just,
And they'll
just
get
for
that
the,
to work.
just for the 7th piece.
Yeah.
Behold, the amulet of Zor.
But yeah, I want to say that thinking of that Carney, I wish I knew the actor's name just so I could thank him and, you know, credit him. Like, dude, you gave a great, memorable performance.
Well, if he watches this now, he's gonna know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's it.
So many people that were involved. And I wish I would know the names. I wish I was.
Yeah.
involved. It'd be really cool to do. Everybody.
It's worth pointing out because, you know, they were just there, like these little one and done roles. Like, I think that guy appears like twice in season 1 and he's there again for season 2. And it doesn't specifically have to be him, you know, back in the role, but it's nice that there's like continuity. That's a guy who like we can talk about because you had like these short little scenes together, so you kind of know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But there was one, the bus driver who was like a hippie, you know, because he had like the glasses and, you know, he embodied that character really well. I think he's just there in the show for one episode, like driving the bus. And I'm like, I want more of him. He was cool.
I think that's actually something to really even think about when you watch any show or any film. Those characters that you see pop in once, but they provide such memorable performances, or just such a memorable little piece of the entire show that you never really forget them. That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, or at least these kooky little moments that stick in your mind. And I wonder if that guy was based on Otto, actually, you know, from The Simpsons. I think it's just that voice that he was trying to do.
Funny. Now that you mention it, I mean, that would be totally. I wonder if that was actually his thinking too when he went in to play that role. It's like, you know what, I want to be Otto.
I think it's just I think it's just the voice. Like Otto, I'm not really sure what his backstory was. I know he didn't do all that well in school in the Simpsons anyway, and I don't know if he was like a hippie or anything like that. But
Look at me, man. Now I drive the school bus.
Lord Fear like stretches his head over to let's just call him Otto because that's basically who he was. Stretches head over to Otto. He's like, knock, knock. It's just like, whoa.
Knock, knock.
Whoa. He's not like freaked out. He's just sort of like, whatever, you know, I've seen weird. I've seen weirder. Let's go.
Yeah.
Bad route, man. Bad route. Ugh.
Bad route, man. Bad route.
That's so good. Yeah, another weird. All these are kind of like comedy bits, but there's the guy who was in the camping episode that we talked about before, who was the mechanic. Who I think Tom interacted with him, also Philip Williams, and then Ace interacted with him. But like his whole thing was, what do I look like? A tour guide?
Hey. What do I look like? A tour guide? What do I look like? A tour guide?
You know, like, don't ask me where to go, just go.
Kids.
Yeah, there was really good little comments like that in the show.
Yeah, someone, Brandon, that I tried to find that is difficult to, you know, see what they're doing now is Michael Riley, who voiced Ace Lightning. And some of the voice cast are still performing in in different ways. But yeah, I think Michael is still acting, but I'm like, I wonder how to get a hold of, or not get a hold of him, but I'm like, yeah, that's tricky.
Yeah, I mean, some people too either do a really good job of making sure they can be found, and other people's not so much, right?
Yeah, yeah. Aside from Cal Dodd, who's still, still acting. Talking of Marvel, they brought him back because he was the voice of Wolverine in the '90s X-Men show, and they're doing like a reunion of that show. And because Cal is like granted audio interviews at least before. And I thought, no, it's possible. And that kind of inspired me to like try and reach out to some of the people from Ace. And I wonder if anyone's ever asked Cal about working on that show. Maybe not.
Probably not, but I think you should do it. I love what you, I love.
I'm gonna try.
It's on Ice, man. I think you should definitely try it too. I think he would be super. I think he would slightly take it just out of the fact that he would love those shows. Nobody's asked him. Right.
Yeah, no. Well, because he was last time we mentioned Goosebumps briefly.
And that was a staple of my television diet as a kid.
Yeah. I think because the books were really popular, and then the show kind of came. I'm more familiar with the show than I am the books. Not because when I was a kid I wasn't much of a reader, because I like to read, but the show just grabbed me in that way.
The Goosebumps stories were almost like, as a kid, I remember just thinking some of them were actually really scary. And I think back on just fun.
Yeah. It's age appropriate. Like the first episode of the show, I have a feeling because that one was pretty scary, the haunted mask.
I remember that.
I have a feeling that they really went for it to begin with, and then maybe someone making the show was like, let's kind of scale it back slightly.
I agree, because that one.
Yeah. Just the design of that mask.
No. I said no.
Yeah, I'll say quick with Goosebumps, with Cal Dodd, he was the voice of Slappy, the ventriloquist dummy in that show.
That's right.
Most memorably.
Hey, Sarah. Wanna play?
And he also apparently did part of the intro. That's his voice saying, "Viewer beware, you're in for a scare."
Viewer beware, you're in for a scare.
I thought, was that him? That's really great, because perhaps now I know, like listening back to it, I'm like, oh no, that sounds like him.
Real flashback, right? Joe. I got to go back now and watch those episodes just for Slappy. I love this voice. I think no, I don't think anyone would have asked him what he's like, but I think they should. I really think you should do that interview.
Yeah, I think it's because I know you said that in Canada at least, because it I think some networks it was popular, and then some others it just wasn't, which I think is true for like the whole world. But do you remember where it played on in Canada? Was it on YTV or anything like that?
No, Ice Lightning. No, it was on TV. It was it's like I believe it was CBC. We had like I don't remember who like the BBC and then like this the equivalent here, but and it was also I remember kind of being at a time too. I think it was aired while we were in school too. I think that might have been like an issue too in Canada. Why it probably wasn't as popular. Yeah, wish I could remember this. I don't know. I remember I didn't even really get to watch the episode until it was released on like VHS or DVD, and then I was sent a copy and so pick it up. That's when I actually got to watch the episodes.
No, it's okay. I want to say that with the going back a little bit with the fan mail, apparently Ace Lightning was very popular in South Africa.
I've heard that. I never got any fan mail from out there. That's kind of cool. I mean, it's just the power of the creativity and the animation of the show. Again, it just goes to show how far reached.
It's like being watched in so many countries, because I think it's strange how because it was really successful ultimately, but at the same time I think it's just like the standards of TV a little bit, but also just like the way of the world at that time, because I think just as it was ending was when the internet age that we have now was beginning. So I think that's why it was right there, just at that perfect moment where you can just remember it, and then right, we've got it right, immortalize it online, and then that's how we can do stuff like this.
Yeah, 100% true.
Yeah, I'll send you a copy or send you a link anyway to one of the Russian dubs of the show, just the humor of having your voice dubbed over by someone else, because I was watching it and it was really weird because Mark Minardi.
Do the voices at least
go
kind
ahead.
of match? Some voices just don't match that person's look at all. Like, do they kind of match at least? I've always wanted to speak in Russian.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, there's with Mark Minardi's character, Chuck Mughal was his surname, but it was a strange translation of that. They pronounced it differently. It was Mugula, like uvula, and I'm like, what?
Mark Minardi в роли Чака Мьюгела.
Yeah,
that's too funny.
Yeah, Brett Ramirez or something.
That's too cool.
Yeah, that'll probably be. I have some German VHS tapes of Ace Lightning over in the corner here. I'll superimpose some of the covers in, later. I can show you the back cover because I think it's got a bigger picture of you with Shadia in the classroom. Actually, and that'll probably be like the way it was done in Germany, Mark Hollander, Brett Ramirez, and Mr. Chesbro.
Hey man, you should be doing some voices too. I love it.
I'll need to see what I can do. Yeah. I was watching an interview. It was Kevin Pollak. It was with, even though it's called Kevin Pollak, that one episode was presented by Sam Levine,
the notorious Kick in the Side,
who was in a Tarantino film, actually, in a small role in Inglourious. I think he's in that a little bit. He was interviewing Maurice LaMarche, who, the most French of names, and he was saying that, when it comes to doing voiceovers, it's competitive, from what I've seen, but he's like, you could move into that.
It's something you decided you want to do.
Yeah.
You could move into that by solely devoting yourself to it.
He's like, if you're willing to devote yourself to it, then as with most things, absolutely it'll get somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, voiceover is a completely different world that I'm not 100% familiar with, but it's something that I have tried to break into a little bit. It's just like anything, and you definitely do have to devote yourself to it. There's also a technique and an art form to doing voiceover. Certain timing you have to develop. I don't know if you've ever kind of seen the way they do it. They'll show the clip for the animation, basically dubbing it or voicing it over in real time. And I've had to go into the studio and do some voiceover stuff for film and just sort of like some ad stuff that they've put in. And I'll admit, if you don't do it regularly, it's quite difficult to like get that timing right to make it still seem natural as well. It's kind of strange actually working in the studio. I like it, but it's definitely something that I would need a lot more practice with. But yeah, I love your voice. You should definitely try something like that.
Oh no, that's really nice of you. Thank you. Yeah, this segues into a good bit. Last time I said, if we had a minute, I would do my impression of of Zip and Snip, who the glove puppets, sock puppets that Googler had, that Matt Fickner voiced.
Let's hear it,
actually.
Man.
Yeah, we'll come. Yeah, we'll get there. He, Matt, I'll say that he had a line in the show, and I'll tell him this as well. I'll be like, thank you, Matt. That was really great. Or some of the cheesy one-liners. Yeah, that was really cringy, but it was supposed to be cringy. Mission accomplished. Okay, let's do it. So he's like, we got tricks that torture and jokes that kill. They call me Zip. They call me Snip. We're a team that gnaws and nips.
I love it, man. Awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I'll do another one. I'll add in like the higher one because it's hard to do the end because they talk at the same time. But I'll do we're a team that gnaws and nips, that the high pitched one says, and then I'll like layer them together again in the interview, and we can hear that. It's like, we got tricks that torture and jokes that kill. They call me Zip. They call me Snip. We're a team that gnaws and nips.
That's very cool.
Or there's an episode where Ace actually gets turned into a zombie because the two they bite him and they like inject him with venom. Again, this is a kid's show, and they threaten to do the same to Sparks, who just turned up at that point, and not something that you can say in a kid's show now. But Zip is just like, Gonna put the bite on you, babe. And I'm just like, oh.
Time to put the bite on you, babe.
I'm impressed that was there.
Definitely wouldn't be in a kid show today, that's for sure.
No. Yeah, that's another actress, Deb Odell or Deborah Odell, who's I'm not sure if she still is acting at all anymore, but it's one where aside from Cal Dodd, who's like big in the whole biz, all these like guys and gals, like they did a few roles, and then yeah, hopefully this show we can get them the due credit, 'cause they're all such great talents.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Like I was doing Lady Illusion or the voice earlier, and I think Tamara Bernier, she's not an actress anymore either, but no, she's great. She was Mystique on one of the newer X-Men cartoons, actually.
I mean, I didn't know that at all.
No, I didn't either. It's till I checked that, I'm like, oh yeah, that is her, because I think I'd heard it. I'm like, no, she pulls this off well. Like it's a similar like villain character.
Oh, Ace! Did I hurt your feelings? You really don't remember me, Logan?
Because I remember you.
All too well.
Very cool.
Yeah, we should give her a cameo in the new. Yeah, we'll get her in Deadpool 3 or something.
I'm excited for Deadpool 3, man. I'm a big fan of Wolverine, but definitely it's been an amazing interview, man.
But I want to say, Brandon, it's it's a real dream come true to speak to you. It's a real pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
No, man, the pleasure's been all mine. You've put a spark back where it's been missing, for a long time. Talking about some of these memories that I've sort of maybe haven't paid much attention to, haven't really thought much about, and you definitely transported me back to a time that holds a lot of very great memories for me, and a lot of love and a lot of passion for acting. I really, really appreciate the interview, man. I appreciate the time and all the great questions. Looking forward to one day meeting you in person.
Yeah, no, we'll keep in touch. I'll when this video is out, I'll get you the link, and yeah, no, we'll see what happens with that. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Talk soon.
Thank you, Brandon. Well, this was wonderful. Bye.
Bye-bye. See you later.
Bye.
It's hard to take a stand, it's hard to do what's right. No matter how scared you are, you have to stand and fight. And we don't have to play this game all alone, 'cause there's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero in us all. You have to do what's right. You have to do what's good. It's hard to stand and fight when you're misunderstood. We don't have to play this game all alone, 'cause there's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero in us. The world can be such a lonely place. Ching, 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 ching. When there's not much out for you at home. You at home. If I'm in trouble, I can count on Ace. I don't have to play this game alone. There's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero. There's a hero in us. There's a hero. There's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero in us all.